Hello and welcome to this deep dive into Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince, a book so controversial, so scathing in its analysis of power, that it's practically begging to be banned from every self-respecting dictator's summer reading list. Written in the 16th century, you might think this little book of political philosophy would be as relevant today as a cassette tape in a Spotify world. But hold on to your scepters, because Machiavelli's insights into power, leadership, and the art of persuasion are more relevant than ever. Over the next few chapters, we'll unpack some of Machiavelli's most provocative ideas, and trust me, you'll be surprised how often they rear their Machiavellian heads in the modern political landscape. So buckle up, because we're about to take a wild ride through the world of political philosophy, and by the end of it, you might just agree that Machiavelli wasn't just a political theorist. He was a prophet with a serious knack for predicting the future of power. All right, let's kick things off with one of Machiavelli's juiciest and most controversial ideas, the ruthless acquisition and consolidation of power. This wasn't some abstract theory for Machiavelli, this was real-world, get-your-hands-dirty politics, and no one embodies this more in our modern political landscape than Vladimir Putin. Now, I'm not saying Putin keeps a dog-eared copy of The Prince on his nightstand, or that he's out there quoting Machiavelli in his sleep, but the parallels between Putin's rise to power and Machiavelli's ideas on leadership are, shall we say, a little too close for comfort. We're talking about a leader who rose from the ashes of the Soviet Union, consolidated his power through a series of strategic maneuvers, and has remained firmly entrenched in the Kremlin ever since. Machiavelli argued that a leader, especially one new to power, needs to establish their authority swiftly and decisively. And Putin, well, he took that memo to heart. From his early days as a former KGB agent to his current position as the seemingly untouchable leader of Russia, Putin has shown a Machiavellian ability to eliminate his rivals, silence dissent, and maintain an iron grip on power. But it's not just about brute force with Putin, it's about calculated control. He understands the importance of projecting an image of strength, of being both feared and respected. And just like Machiavelli advised centuries ago, Putin knows how to use propaganda and carefully crafted narratives to bolster his image and justify his actions. Both understood that politics is not a game for the faint of heart, and that sometimes you need to play dirty to win. Now, Machiavelli wasn't all about brute force and political cunning. He understood that lasting power requires a more nuanced approach, a delicate dance between inspiring fear and cultivating love, or at least the appearance of it. And to illustrate this point, let's turn our attention to another modern-day giant on the world stage, Xi Jinping's China. On the surface, China under Xi Jinping might seem like a textbook example of a state ruled by fear. We've all heard the stories about China's vast surveillance network, its crackdown on dissent, and its tight control over information. But beneath this seemingly impenetrable facade lies a more complex reality, one that reflects Machiavelli's understanding of the relationship between fear and love in governance. Xi Jinping understands that fear alone is a brittle foundation for lasting power. It breeds resentment, fosters instability, and ultimately, it's unsustainable. So while he's certainly not afraid to wield the stick, he also understands the importance of offering the carrot. Enter China's economic miracle. Under Xi Jinping's leadership, China has experienced unprecedented economic growth, lifting millions out of poverty and transforming itself into a global superpower. This economic prosperity has created a sense of national pride, of shared progress, that has helped to legitimize Xi Jinping's rule and solidify his grip on power. Xi Jinping's China is a masterclass in Machiavellian governance, a delicate balancing act between control and prosperity, fear and aspiration. It's a reminder that the most effective leaders are those who understand the complexities of human nature, who know how to wield both the carrot and the stick to achieve their goals. Now, let's be honest, the man practically deserves his own chapter in The Prince 21st Century Edition. Because when it comes to Machiavelli's ideas on deception and propaganda, well, let's just say Donald Trump's presidency was like watching a masterclass in political manipulation unfold in real time. Machiavelli was adamant that a leader shouldn't shy away from a little white lie or a giant pants-on-fire whopper if it serves their political goals. And Trump, he took that advice and ran with it, sprinting towards a finish line made entirely of alternative facts. Remember fake news? That wasn't just a catchy phrase, it was a calculated strategy to discredit any media coverage that didn't paint him in a flattering light. And let's not forget the Twitter rants, the impulsive pronouncements, the constant barrage of misinformation that left even the most seasoned political analysts scratching their heads. It was chaos, sure, but it was chaos with a purpose. By flooding the information ecosystem with half-truths, outright lies and inflammatory rhetoric, Trump effectively created a world where objective truth became elusive, where his supporters could dismiss any criticism as fake news and double down on their unwavering belief in his leadership. This was Machiavelli on steroids, a relentless assault on truth and reason, all in the service of maintaining power and controlling the narrative. And while Trump might be out of office, the playbook he used, the one that Machiavelli practically scribbled centuries ago, well, that's still very much in circulation. Now, this is where things get really ethically murky, even for a show that once dedicated an entire segment to the surprisingly complex world of municipal waste management. Machiavelli's most infamous and most debated idea is this: do the ends justify the means? In other words, is it okay to do bad things, even morally reprehensible things, if the outcome is ultimately good? It's a question that has haunted philosophers and politicians for centuries, and it's one that we see playing out on the global stage even today. Take, for example, the foreign policies of Western democracies. We pride ourselves on our commitment to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. But what happens when those values clash with our strategic interests? What about those drone strikes we launch in the name of fighting terrorism, even if they result in civilian casualties? What about those alliances we forge with unsavory regimes because we need their resources or their strategic cooperation? Are these actions justifiable because they ultimately serve a greater good? Or are we simply kidding ourselves, sacrificing our morals on the altar of political expediency? These are not easy questions to answer, and Machiavelli certainly doesn't offer any simple solutions. But what he does do is force us to confront the uncomfortable reality that politics is often a dirty business, one where the lines between right and wrong are often blurred, and where leaders are often forced to make impossible choices with far-reaching consequences. So the next time you find yourself wrestling with a particularly thorny ethical dilemma, remember Niccolò Machiavelli. All right, let's wrap this Machiavellian roller coaster ride with a concept that even the most cunning political operator can't fully control. Fortune, or as we like to call it in the 21st century, plain old dumb luck. Machiavelli believed that while a prince should always strive to shape his own destiny, there's always an element of unpredictability in politics. A wild card that can make even the most carefully laid plans go completely haywire. And who better to illustrate this point than Joe Biden, a man who, let's be honest, probably didn't have leading America through a global pandemic, a resurging Russia, and a deeply divided electorate on his bingo card for his twilight years. Biden's presidency has been a masterclass in navigating the unexpected, from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic to the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan to the escalating tensions with Russia. His administration has had to make tough decisions in the face of constantly shifting circumstances. And this is where Machiavelli's concept of fortuna comes into play. It's not about simply being lucky or unlucky. It's about recognizing that there are forces beyond our control, events that can upend even the most well-thought-out plans. But here's the thing about fortune, according to Machiavelli. It favors the bold, the adaptable, the leaders who are willing to adjust their sails when the winds of change start blowing. He might not be the flashiest leader, and he certainly doesn't shy away from a good gaffe. But Biden's ability to navigate the choppy waters of global politics with a steady hand is a testament to the enduring relevance of Machiavelli's insights. So there you have it. A whirlwind tour through the world of Machiavellian politics. We've explored the ruthless acquisition of power, the delicate balance between fear and love, the seductive allure of deception, the ethical tightrope of the ends justifying the means, and the unpredictable hand of fate. And if you're thinking, wow, that was a lot, and also politics is kind of terrifying, well, you're not wrong. But here's the thing about Machiavelli, he wasn't trying to create a manual for saints. He was trying to understand the reality of power, the gritty, often unpleasant truth about how the world really works. And that's why, for better or worse, The Prince remains as relevant today as it was centuries ago.